Welcome to another brand new episode of Undisputed Anime, where we like to talk about, of course, anime, manga, and OVAs sometimes. There's a lot of stuff that we like to talk about. I am your host, the Taichou, Zane. I'm still getting used to that. As always, I'm joined by my fantastic co-host, Mr. Susude. How are you, good sir?
Good evening. I'm very well. Enjoying the cooler air, the good animes, good tea.
It's a great season for anime. Got a lot of anime coming out in the fall. If you haven't checked it out already, we've got a mini episode about what's dropping in the fall. So check that
What's
out.
good?
What is good? What's worth a watch? As always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe because we got a lot to talk about today. And today is a banger of an episode. Wouldn't you say, Mr. Susude?
Absolutely. I have had a very enjoyable few days. So looking forward to discuss.
By the way, can I just point out, are you wearing like a Naruto t-shirt right now?
Naruto the Last.
Wow, check that out.
But don't tell anyone because it's not official merch. It was printed by a friend of ours as an experiment, and he gave me the outcome. So
there we go.
But yes, I am appropriately dressed for a anime podcast, wouldn't you know?
Look at that. If you want to see the t-shirt, check out the YouTube version of this. Of course, if you're listening to this on the podcast platform, the links will be in the description down below, or you can just search for Undisputed Anime on YouTube. By the way, I'm wearing...
That's some good t-shirt right there.
A Ninja Turtles style t-shirt. Which
I'm feeling that. I need to up my t-shirt game significantly.
Yeah.
I really need to get rid of some of the plain ones and start investing in some top tier merch.
Some good merch. As I say, we've got a lot to talk about when it comes to today's episode, which is about Star Wars Visions. So if you haven't watched it yet, we're going to jump into some spoilers. So make sure you pause the podcast right now.
And go and watch it. Or
go watch it. Then come back and then join in the conversation. Drop a comment. By the way, welcome back. If you've just come back in. And let's jump into the episode, shall we?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Woo. So I think it's only fair that we'll go to each individual episode and we'll rate it either one or two ways. We'll rate it undisputed, which means top tier anime, or we rate it disputed, which means not so great. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. I feel that is good. I might fall off that partway through. Who knows?
That's absolutely fine. I'll ask just in case.
Or it might just end up being one or the other, like all the way through. There might not be I might be on one side of the scale, to be honest.
Ooh. Okay, so let's start off with episode 1, The Duel, which was a sort of black and white sort of episode, CGI to opposed to a hand-drawn animation.
Absolutely, it was directed by Kamikaze Doga, who are famous for such works as JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 1 through 3, and Ninja Batman.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you can see, like, I did until I did a little bit of reading. It didn't really like clock why it seemed so familiar. And then as soon as I realized that they had a hand in JoJo, I was thinking about the opening sequences for Part 1, 2, and 3, which is basically a more colorful style.
Yeah.
What we get in The Duel, which was great. It honestly looked amazing. I really enjoyed the duel.
Yeah, it was a fantastic episode. Just as a synopsis, a wandering stranger with a mysterious past defends a village from powerful bandits, which also included a Sith with a umbrella-style lightsaber.
Yeah, it was extremely the story was extremely well put together. I think that
Hmm.
the pacing was great as well, and I like that the way that the story was told led us to make assumptions about the characters. When
Yes.
obviously you get partway through the episode, the Sith says, "It's been a long time since I've killed a Jedi," and stuff like that, and he says, "I'm not a Jedi." It's
And pulls out
a red saber.
a red saber, which is it was amazing. Um,
But I think that what I really liked about the duel is that, and I think that a lot of the episodes dealt with this very well. It was a
mhm.
lot of. It's obviously there's this like line between the two. You've got the good, you've got the Jedi and the light side of the Force, and you've got the evil, the
Yes.
Sith, and the dark side. But I think that especially in the duel, it kind of like it kind of like painted this picture of like the grey in the middle. Like, I mean, obviously he was colorized, he was stylized as a Sith.
Yes.
However, and I imagine that we may find out in the future because there is going to be like a novel that expands on the world that's in the duel.
Yeah.
But I think that this character very very well shows the grey Jedi or the grey Force user,
Hmm. Yeah.
someone who
Absolutely.
is on neither sides. They're just the Force is a means to an end, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Hmm.
And the
Uh,
color
uh,
of your kyber crystal is inconsequential, isn't it?
that's true. Yeah. I think the kind of sense I got from this was that it's kind of like a Ronin who just goes out and just kills Sith. Like,
Mm.
there's nothing glamorous about it. It's just like a real rich, like fighting. It's almost like the Texas Ranger, like blueprint, shall we say? Goes
Yeah.
from town to town, probably just kills a Sith every week, collects their crystal
Yeah, well,
and saber.
this is what I believe they wanted to do is that they wanted to restyle the Star Wars like mythos into this like kind of Japanese lore, and
Mm,
when samurais were serving feudal lords, and like there were like these wandering warriors who were without a lord, and that's who this character is. And
yeah.
I think my biggest bit of information I'd love to know, and I don't know if we'll ever fully know it, is that obviously he's it's suggested that he's Sith.
Yeah.
Obviously, he says he's not Sith.
Mm,
I want to know whether or not he is or has ever been a Sith, or whether he is just a warrior who has picked up a red lightsaber.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think it's gonna. I think it is gonna be. I think it probably is something that will be discussed in the novel that is coming out, which is
mm.
called Ronin.
Oh,
Um,
nice. Cool.
I'm not sure when it's coming out, but it will be expanding on the world of the jewel. So,
That's really cool.
mm.
I am really surprised with this casting here that Lucy Liu was the bandit leader in the dub version.
And now I hear it. I I hear it now. That's rad.
That's
Like that's really
yeah.
cool.
The fact that Lucy Liu is in Star Wars now, like that is really cool.
It's canon, but it's also canon that her character is dead. So
I'm trying to remember which studio produced this, by the way.
it was Kamikaze Duga or Doga.
Ah, cool, cool, cool,
So,
cool.
like I said, they are responsible for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 1, 2, and 3, and Ninja Batman.
Ah,
Those are the
uh,
notable ones. There's a couple of others, but those
hmm.
are the ones that stuck out to me.
Would you say this is Disputed or undisputed?
Undisputed.
Undisputed.
This is a good bit of animation. Story was good. Animation was good. Pacing was amazing.
Yes.
I came away feeling very satisfied by the watch. It was a good one to start with as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Episode 2. Also, by the way, we're looking at this on Internet Movie Database, and this episode had been rated 8.5, which is a great rating because we all know anything that's above a 6 or a 7 is a fantastic watch.
Yes. So
episode
Rhapsody,
2,
yeah.
Tatooine Rhapsody. Which studio was behind this one, by the way?
This was Studio Colorido.
Yes.
And they're responsible for things like Burn the Witch and Penguin Highway, which I believe is a OVA that, or a movie which was I'm not sure if it's out yet actually.
They've also done A Whisker Away, which is coming to Netflix, and the Pokemon Twilight episodes.
Oh, is that right?
On YouTube as well. Yeah, they're a real great little animated studio.
Well, say what you will, Tatooine Rhapsody is an episode that has divided people.
Yes,
I think. Even here on this podcast, I feel that there's a divided opinion on this episode. Zane, if you want to go further.
So just again, a little context. This episode is about a band with a big dreams must save one of their own from Jabba the Hutt and Boba Fett. So this was about the band who had to save their band member from Jabba, who he owed a lot of money to. For me, this wasn't fantastic. There was a few moments in this where I thought, oh, it's going to flip now and it'd be like lightsaber action and everything, but it never was. It was just a very humble, cute story all the way through.
And I think that's where, like, because my thoughts on it, I came out of this feeling actually I was very surprised about how good this was, because it lent so much more into the slice of life side of things. I think the words that I used were that obviously in any Star Wars media, the focus is always on the war. It's always on some sort of conflict. Whereas, and I think that because of that, it's very, very easy to forget that there are people who are not fighting the war, and there are people who are just living their lives. And I think that this was a great example of that, because obviously it opens with the Padawan fleeing, and then he ends up falling into that Hutt's van, I guess.
Yeah.
And the next minute, you find out that he joined the band and stuff, and like the music was great. Like I think the pacing was great. I think that it was probably less Star Wars than people want. It wasn't the right kind of Star Wars that people wanted, and I think that's why it's probably less popular.
Yeah, and I think that moment when Jabba takes away his friend, that was the moment I thought, okay, he's going to go back and use his Jedi powers and the Force and everything to save him, but his lightsaber doesn't work, and
he left it all behind, didn't he?
Yeah, and Jabba takes him away. And then again, I guess the flip on this is that they use other means to save him. They don't, like you said, they don't rely on conflict in that regard. They talk their way around it, and they throw in a little cool concert at the end to
and I think
make everyone happy.
I think that in a lot of ways this actually really highlights that. Like, I think that a lot of people out there would look to anime and they're like, oh, if it's not like a shonen anime, or it's not like got like battles or fights in it, I'm not interested. But like, so much good anime isn't
it's
about
always
that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it was really interesting seeing this story, and it wasn't like it's not my favorite art style. It by far was not what my favorite of the Visions like shorts.
Yeah.
But I still really enjoyed it for what it was.
So, are you telling me that for you this was Undisputed?
For me, I still say it's Undisputed. I think that if you go into it thinking, if you go into it expecting more of the same Star Wars, you're going to come
Mhm.
away disappointed. If you go into it and think about everything else in that world, you might come away and enjoy it. If you just like that style of anime, you will probably
Yeah.
just come away having enjoyed it. It's not an unenjoyable like.
No.
How long was this episode? I can't even remember. It was only like 15, 20 minutes,
20
wasn't it?
minutes, maybe? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's not an unenjoyable 20 minutes. It's
Hmm.
so
Yeah, it's decent enough, I'd say. I'd say it'd be worth checking out. Wow, look at that voice casting. You got Joseph Gordon-Levitt as
this is the
Jay.
Disney effect.
Yeah, this is the wow.
This is what happens when you got Papa Mickey's money.
Behind you. That's incredible. Amazing. Was not expecting that. Um, for me, this was disputed, even though that small revelation. Yeah, like Sue said, it's a slice of life episode, really. So, but of course, let us know what your thoughts are as we go through these. Pop it into the chat if you're watching this live on YouTube, or if you're listening back to this, just drop it into the comments and let us know. Uh, let's move on to episode 3, because this has also been quite
Divisive.
decisive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really has. And this is the one I'm quite surprised that it is so divisive. However,
Hmm.
um, I can see why some people might not be a fan.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand it too. Um, episode 3, The Twins, produced by Studio Trigger. I could tell just from the art style alone.
Yeah.
Um,
Kill the Kill, Darling in the Franxx, Little Witch Academia, Promare, BNA.
oh, big hitters,
Yes.
all big hitters. Uh, the plot for this one was twins born into dark side clash aboard a massive dark destroyer. Um, directed by Hiroyuki Ishishimi
Imayashi?
Imiyashi. Um, I absolutely bloody love this episode.
I 100% agree with you. It was Trigger at its very best. Like the way that the story, the art style, the way that the story was told, the story
Mhm.
itself, it was all right out of Trigger's book.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like the pacing, the action, of course, the action was just going to be top notch,
The double
regardless.
Star Destroyer.
Look at it. um, absolutely fantastic. I love the color use, of course, like
Oh
just
yeah.
like DNA. The color palette in this is just gorgeous.
It's such a soft color palette, isn't it? Like
Mm,
the stuff that is a much harder color is placed really deliberately to make the scene so much more like in your face. Like this scene here, obviously, like the character that their whole like color palettes are so much like lighter,
yes.
and then you've got like their lightsabers just like fucking. Whoa.
um, of course, there's a lot of like craziness with this, and it's kind of what you'd expect from Trigger. So, as we can see here, this type of suit can wield up to 6 lightsabers, um, efficiently as well.
Yeah, through the
Um,
power of I think that the plot was that they've got this very unique kyber crystal which they were going to
mm,
use to power a star destroying weapon or a planet destroying weapon. One twin is really behind the plan. The other twin has had a vision of the future via the Force, I imagine, where
yeah,
he sees her, he sees her, his twin falling to this power because it's too strong, and
yes,
that's why he decides to dissemble the plan, and they end up fighting as a result. The crystal breaks in their conflict. She is able to place a part of it in her suit, which is what causes it to go all like get the 4 extra arms.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to
yep.
keep you talking.
And he puts it in his in his saber. Oh my god. It's big. Everything about it is trigger. Everything is, each moment has to be bigger than the last moment. And if you've watched things like Kill the Kill, Darling and Frank, you'll understand that there's always a bigger power to be used. It had some great like vistas. Hello.
Yeah.
I was just talking about the vistas, about
Okay, yeah.
the wide shots, like that shot at the very end with the sliced in half Star Destroyer and space.
Yes. I don't know if it's here, but
I'd love it if it was, because
yeah,
honestly, it was
it
like
was.
one of the best shots in the whole thing. I mean, you've got when he uses the hyperdrive of the X-Wing to further power his attack, and he's able to cut in half the Star Destroyer. My
Yeah.
only complaint is that for some reason only the droid needed a helmet to be outside of the Star Destroyer, yet the twins were able to be outside without helmets.
Yeah, it's one thing I can overlook, like the whole thing of them fighting in space and her lightsaber shooting out of her heel as well. I can overlook those things
When he's using
because
them as whips.
yeah, I can overlook the silliness of that because I know I'm going to get a great sequence out of this fight scene. I'm already getting a great experience already in terms of the storytelling and everything else. So I can overlook those small things. Um, there's so many shots of this which make me think of Luke, like this shot here.
Yeah.
Even his whole outfit. I know it's not identical to Luke's. It's probably more closer to Han Solo's, but it just gives off that energy, that vibe.
Yeah,
Which I think was
was
amazing.
very deliberately placed in the show, wasn't it? The end shot of him in this outfit on Tatooine. You got the suns
Yes.
and stuff like that. That is a very deliberately placed like reference. I mean, for me, this was undisputed.
Hundred percent.
I do get why people might not have enjoyed it. It's one of those stories which feels like it needs more time. It's
Yeah.
very much go straight off the bat, and
Yeah.
like you don't really know how they reach this point. There's so many questions left unanswered, and I think that a lot of people probably don't enjoy that, especially, and
Mm.
even a lot of the things that you were talking about that you can overlook. A lot of people can't overlook stuff like that.
Yeah.
Some battles have to have some level of realism, especially in a title that's as old as Star Wars is.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, like, just to compare and play devil's advocate, if Princess Leia can force Mary Poppins her way out of space into a ship, then, you know.
I mean, to be fair, there's a lot about the Force that no one understands. And I've seen Force wielders turn into like a giant demon beast and like a giant light bird before. So I mean, the Force
Yes.
can do some crazy stuff.
That's very true. That is very true. Shall we move on to episode 4?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, by the way, what was your take on the twins? Was it disputed or undisputed for you?
Very much undisputed.
Wonderful. We are of a single mind.
Episode 4, The Village Bride. When I saw the trailer, I wasn't exactly hyped for this one. the plot for this one: a Jedi on the run takes in a unique customs of a remote village under the threat of a warlord.
I really enjoyed this. It was produced by Cinema Citrus. They are, I mean, you might know names such as Shield Hero, Made in the Abyss,
Yes.
Black Bullet. They were responsible for those. I loved the art style.
Mm.
I loved the pacing and the music.
Yes.
I loved that the focus wasn't on the Jedi for the most part of the episodes. I liked that it was
Yes.
like kind of following these two residents of this village.
Yeah.
But what?
The
Sorry.
like chief's daughter, wasn't it, who was getting married?
Yeah, and she was getting married because the following day she was going to be given as an offering to the warlord in order to spare the village.
Mm.
But do you know what really did it for me, my friends? Do you know what really did it for me?
Go
It
ahead.
was it was that 30 seconds to a minute in the standoff between the Jedi and the warlords,
Hmm.
and her boots did that thing where the front buckle came down, and it was this moment here, and that one transition of her from in one place to a lightsaber being in this guy's chest.
Yes. A yellow lightsaber as well.
Yes.
That's another thing about this whole anthology or this whole series is like all the different lightsabers we got to see was so different and
Oh yeah.
unique in their designs compared to things we've seen in the past. So this was really refreshing in that regard. But yeah, I 100% agree with you. Like, even though in some ways it kind of reminds me of Ghibli movie where it's really slow,
Yeah.
and then right at the end you just get so much like action, and
Yeah.
it's a great
Absolutely.
payoff because you've become so invested and want to see where it goes. Like you said, will the bride end up with the warlord? Is there going to be some sort of negotiation? And yeah, it is like this
It's
could
just
easily go ahead. What are you
I'd
going to
say
say?
it was just beautiful. It was beautiful.
It was very beautiful, but at the same time, and this is something I was going to save to later. A lot of these felt like they could have been pilots for other, their own series or their own shows, and this was definitely one of them that felt like I've just watched an OVA or first episode of a series.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I was gonna
Mm,
leave. I was gonna. This is something I was gonna bring up at the very end of the episode as well. I think
yeah.
I am. I am very, very certain that Star Wars Visions has
Hmm.
been an experiment by Disney, and that all of these are they're basically gonna treat all of these episodes as a pilot, and one or two of them are gonna make the cut and get
Yeah.
more done for them. So
Yeah.
that's my thoughts on it, because I could really see with the way that Disney is expanding in its
Hmm.
acquisitions, I could really
Yeah.
see them wanting to get into the anime market, and this was a great way to kind of test that.
Yeah, and I think the other thing about it as well, just to kind of expand on your point, is like this is probably like a cheap method of experimenting with, pilots and things of that nature. You don't have to hire a ton of cast to, cameramen and such. You just pay one studio, they do everything else, um, and go from there. Like, yeah, I think you're right. I think this is really is an experimental ground, and not in a bad way neither. Like, look what it's given us.
Yeah, no, I think maybe 2/3, maybe even the majority of the episodes, it ended, and I thought I would love to see where this story goes, or what
Yeah,
they could do if they were allowed to do a whole series.
yeah, 100%, 100%.
Such like the at this point, I believe that the Village Bride was my favorite episode I had watched so far.
Yeah, I was really blown away by this one by this point, and this is only the 4th episode in, so I was like, wow, I hope this isn't peaked too
Yeah,
early.
absolutely.
That's the fear of it. So yeah, we're both saying Undisputed for the Village
Undisputed,
Bride.
absolutely.
The Ninth Jedi, episode 5.
This was, in fact, my actual favorite episodes. So coming off The Village Bride and going on to this, I was blown away. I loved this episode so much. Everything about this episode was just great for me.
Oh man. The plot for this one, by the way, is the daughter of a lightsaber smith is pursued by dark forces while on a dangerous mission. Produced by
It was
Igo?
Production IG.
IG, sorry, yeah.
Who were responsible for things like Attack on Titan, Haiku, Guilty Crown, Ancient Mages. They did Furikuri. They did Ghost in the Shell. They are
Yes.
responsible for so many good properties. They're currently doing Fena Pirate Princess.
Yes. Yeah. They like you said, they've got such a rich history and background when it comes to their productions. The real cool thing about this episode as well is that when she wields her lightsaber, it's uncolored.
Yes, I do really like how they, instead of going along, because I'm not sure where it actually stands in the law, because my understanding is that like the color of your saber is based on the color of the kyber crystal or the aspect of the kyber crystal. But I like how in this particular title they did it in a way that the saber basically is colored by the wielder and
Yeah.
their own like life energy and their will and what they want. One moment.
Yeah, this was really interesting when it came to, again, about the wielder, and another really cool concept about a lightsaber smith. Again, not something I've ever really seen before in any of the extended
Yeah.
lore and such. So
And
yeah,
on
that
the
was really
subject of
cool.
lightsabers as well, like I also like how, because the way that they explained it was that he tempered the kyber crystals, and that's what allowed it so that the crystals would the lightsaber could change in color and shape. Because
Yeah,
when she first picked up the saber, it was like really long, and then it was really short. She was like changing the shape dynamically. It's really cool. Um, I gotta say though, my favorite bit of the whole episode though was when they're up in the temple and you find out that everyone else is a Sith and not a
yes,
Jedi. Like that moment there when they'd all got given their sabers and all of the sabers are red
yeah,
was
that was
I was not expecting it at all.
such a great twist. One thing I quite liked about this as well is that one of the Siths turned during the fight,
Yes.
and his saber went purple.
Yeah. So I think that the way that it was, I think that the way I took it is that the messages were sent out to actual Jedi, but
Mm,
Sith had tracked them down, killed them, and taken their place. And I
yeah,
get the feel. I believe that the Jedi whose saber turned purple, he was the one who originally received the message, but he was turned by the Sith, or he was
yeah,
overcome by what they wanted, and as a result, that's why he turned. But through the fight, he obviously his resolve wavered.
yes, yeah. Um, and then it kind of leads up to, well, the ending is kind of again a lead where they discuss like they have to find more Jedi to
Mm.
give more of these sabers to and such, which again feels like another series that could have easily been a pilot for.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where I came away from it. I was like, this needs to be a series. Why can't this be a series? I think it's also worth mentioning. I'm sure it's probably clear to those who haven't watched it, if they are just in spoiler territory right now,
Mm,
is that these stories, they are all set in different periods.
mhm.
Like they're not like set on the same continuity. So some of them are set in an era where Jedi on the run, and almost like
Yes.
there are none left. Some are set in times where the Jedi are still a strong force. Some are set in
Yeah.
a time where the Sith are thought to be extinct again, and all that. So there's like loads of different timelines, which I thought was pretty cool. No, they didn't. They all the studios really did something different from one another.
Yeah, 100%. It was, yeah, like you said, the fact that they've all done different mini stories as well, it's just made the whole experience more richer, I guess.
Yeah.
Super.
But yeah, Undisputed, Ninth Jedi, absolutely, it was my favorite.
Yeah, completely agree. Undisputed. Is it my favorite? I'm not sure. It's definitely up there, but we'll get. I'll see by the end of this.
Obviously, your favorite is the next one.
No, it's not. Sadly,
You didn't enjoy Toby 1?
Episode 6, Toby 1. A cybernetic boy who dreams of being a Jedi discovers a dangerous truth about his creator. I don't know with this one. This one, it really, again, when I saw the trailer, I was like, I'm not going to be into this, but I'll give it a chance. And I did. I kind of like the Pinocchio story about it, shall we say. And the very Astro Boy theme throughout it. Yeah, as much as I could say. I didn't enjoy the fight scene at the end.
This is probably lower on the scale of ones, but I think it's probably safe to say I enjoyed all the episodes
Yeah.
to some degree.
Yeah.
I did really enjoy this, but it's kind of in the same. It's higher than Tatooine Rhapsody. It's probably like the second lowest to me.
Yeah.
I really like the art style. I liked it was another story that was very different to what you expect from it.
Mhm.
Like you, I liked the kind of Astro Boy-esque style. It was completely lost on me that the professor had no arms until it was mentioned by the Sith that he had no arm, that he was an armless like Jedi.
Yeah.
But it was good for what it was. I mean, the biggest thing that this was produced by Science Saru. The biggest thing that blew my mind about this is that they are actually the studio behind Devilman Crybaby.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can see that in my head I'm having trouble like aligning these two very different like
Yeah.
styles. But
This
at the
is
same
like
time,
one end of the scale.
it really says a lot for a studio who can kind of do both.
Yes.
Because
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
really was beautiful, and this could easily this clearly, to me anyway, seems like it's a story for a younger viewer. It's like
100%. Yeah.
it's a story for a younger Star Wars fan, or
Yeah.
someone that you want to get your kids into Star Wars when they're like little. This is what you'd have them watch.
Definitely. And, I like the side story alongside of it in terms of the professor was trying to bring life to the planet by, making plants that could inhabit
Survive,
this,
yeah.
dead planet and such. So I really like that. And, that he jets off into space at the end to, again, use these plants on other planets that may have not have any plants.
Level with me. Would this be Undisputed for you if there had been a cityscape, a dark shadowed figure at the top of a building, and someone saying "Tobio"?
maybe. I was kind of half expecting his arm to turn into like a saber,
Yeah,
which
it was
awkwardly enough,
within him the whole time.
the crystal was in him the whole time. So yeah, I enjoyed it enough. Would I rewatch it? Probably not.
Okay,
But
with the fight scene, at least
yeah,
can you give it this? Was it not like absolutely rad when the droid kind of like separated and turned into like armor on him? Because that was very cool.
Yeah, it wasn't something I was expecting, but that was cool. All the droids in this series as well have had some really great, unique
Yeah,
designs.
they're not all like R2. Like I think the most R2 droid we got was in Ronin.
Yeah, and twins as well, I'd say.
Ah, yeah, twins. Well, yeah.
But yeah, all the others, like the one in the Ninth Jedi, that sort of yellow floaty one, was really cool design. So yeah, this was it's definitely something different.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worth a watch once.
Mm. But for me, it wasn't Undisputed.
It.
I'm going to say that.
I'm not. I can't say that it was undisputed, but I can say that it was disputed. Also, it's kind of there's no middle. There's no middle
There's
with
no
this
middle.
scale.
That's the problem with it. You have to choose one or the other.
I'll go
Uh,
disputed then. If I got to choose, then it's gonna be
uh,
disputed, and I hate saying that.
um, now here's an episode. When I saw the trailer, I was what's the word I'm looking for? I was convinced that this would probably be my favorite one,
Okay,
but it wasn't.
I would agree to some degree.
Yeah, so episode 7, The Elder. Um, cool little story. A Jedi and his Padawan pursues a dark and powerful presence. What else can I say about this episode?
It was
Am I right
Trigger
in
again.
thinking it was Trigger again? Yeah.
Very different art style.
Mhm. Very, very different. But it's what can I say? It's very. I think the pacing is so. It's not slow because you get every sort of point that it's going from. I guess there was just it. I didn't have any sort of warmth to it. Like the last one, there was a real emotional story behind it. With this episode, it was just them looking for an elder who they think might be a Sith.
This is my comparison with this. You may disagree with this, or you might agree with me.
Mm.
Of the Visions titles,
Hmm.
this one felt the most like a Ghibli film to me.
Yeah,
It felt like watching Tales from Earthsea
I see.
in the way that you have the mentor, the student, and you have the evil force
Yeah,
and stuff. And even it's obviously Trigger, and they're known for like a very particular like kind of style of animation in a lot of ways. This is a very like I can't remember ever seeing a Trigger property with an animation style like this, and it's really nice, but it really does feel like this could have been easily a Ghibli movie.
I see. I see. Um, in a lot of ways, it reminds me of sort of early 90s anime. Like, just as an example, because it's the first thing I think of, kind of like Mega Blocks. The box in anime has that sort of
Oh yeah,
style where
yeah, yes,
it looks like
absolutely.
it's from the 90s sort of thing. Um, in some ways, it kind of reminds me of that, but it just, I don't know, it felt like there wasn't enough layers to this that it could have been.
Yeah, this is another one which this feels like this would be like kind of a mid-season finale
Mm,
kind of episode. I
yeah,
feel like we needed to have seen more of their journey up until this point. It was good. It was like no way it was bad.
yeah,
But it definitely I feel like I think when I saw the trailer I was like, yeah, this is gonna be like absolutely this is gonna be like a Sith Lord with who's had a plan for millennia or something like that. That's what it seemed
mm,
like. But the one thing we can't argue with is the kill move is phenomenal. That kill move
yes.
where he turns off his saber to dodge the blades and then turns it back on when it's pressed up against his chest. And his
Was
little blades as well. His little dual blades.
yeah, the actual sabers are sort of flat like a katana. They actually
Yeah,
have this sort of shape, don't they?
yeah.
Which was
And you
really interesting.
And we do see that in a couple of them as well. The lightsabers are actually shaped more like katanas, or they've got katana like scabbards and hilts and stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. It's
the-
definitely. I'd say it's definitely worth a watch. It's undisputed enough to be watched. I'd say
yeah,
and enjoyed.
absolutely. But we needed more. There needed to be more lead up. They dropped us right in the
Mm.
middle of a like a 20 episode series.
Yeah, absolutely. And compared to again some of the others, like the twins and the village bride, it just kind of uh,
Yeah, I feel like
towards the
I've gotten very accustomed to a certain style of animation now,
Mhm.
which might be a negative on my part, but like I like these very crisp, clean styles.
Mm.
So I it was good. It was undisputed, but it wasn't the most undisputed.
Great
Lopinotcho, by
sentence.
the way.
Episode 8. Again, when I saw the trailer for this one, I thought this is going to be a bit rubbishy because it's a rabbit girl and that's the impression I got from the trailer. when i
Yeah,
saw it
absolutely.
when I saw it, I was blown away by it.
By far, this episode had the best world building. Like
Yes.
this had the most gorgeous world.
Yeah.
And it's another one of the story. It's another one of the stories where I would pay money to see more of what
Yeah,
this story had.
absolutely. And
Because
more of this world, like you said, this universe.
yeah, because it is honestly beautiful. It is like, I mean, like a feudal Japan sort of style mixed with the sci-fi of like Star Wars. It is just gorgeous. There are cherry blossoms. There's like diverse like crowds of people,
Hmm.
and that's not even a starting on like the story stuff like this.
No, the story for this one: a family is torn about what to do when the Empire approaches on their planet. Um, do you happen to know which studio this one was?
Oh, this was Geno Studio. They are responsible for Golden Kamuy.
Golden Conway.
Kamuy, which is set in the Russian will. No, is it set in Russia? I'm not sure. I haven't watched it, but it's set in. If you just Google it, I can't really explain it because like I can't do it justice.
Sure, no, that's fair. But yeah, this was gorgeous.
Absolutely.
Even the backgrounds were just beautiful. Um, Again, it has a lot of sort of Japanese samurai culture coming through and such, but in beautiful stylized way. And again, this one more so than the last one had that real sort of 90s feel animes, sort of like your, I guess to an extent like Akira, because it had such beautiful backgrounds, but
Yeah,
more so like your Cowboy Bebop's and um,
they managed to like not only did they create like these really beautiful emotive characters, they also managed to create this amazing city without compromising. Like
hmm,
it's like it doesn't matter what scene, the city looks great no matter where you're seeing it from. So
yeah, it's amazing. What did you think of the story behind the Jedi that um, taught their ancestor, and then they've just passed on the lightsaber through the family?
I really liked it because I like the idea that because I think that there's in a lot of Star Wars stories, it's kind of like being a Jedi seems almost like predetermined by just destiny and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas I think that the fact that there's this family who they sheltered and helped a Jedi who came to their planet, and that Jedi then taught them the way of the blade and the way of the
Mm.
Force, and they then because they've only got this one lightsaber and it's just been passed down through the family, and I really liked it, and it's another very like kind of tropey anime thing, is like this
Yeah,
powerful weapon and power that's been passed down through your family line and stuff. And I also like the message of like you don't have to be related, you don't have to be related by blood to be family.
yeah,
I thought that was something that was really nice about this.
it's
It
really
was
beautiful.
the story was very very nice, very good.
Yeah. The other thing I really liked about that part in particular was the crane, the symbol of the crane
It's the
mimics exact the sort of rebellion
the
symbol
Republic, isn't it?
of the Republic. That's right. Yeah, sorry. Incredible. I was like, oh my god, like
Yeah,
that is
because
just
you see it
perfect.
in the actual the frame that is for the episode on the episodes list. It is Lop and her father knelt with the symbol in between them.
Yeah,
This is it's just it was a great and a lovely story. Really enjoyed it. Fight scene was incredible. Loved it when she
yes,
used the force to grab her father's fallen blades, and then she's using
yeah.
a lightsaber and this other weapon to like fight her sister. It was so good.
It was absolutely fantastic. Quite possibly my favorite.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah,
that. I think that it was probably it's a tie between this and the Village Bride for me.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I could put one over the other. I really really enjoyed them both.
Let's jump over to the last episode, episode 9,
Akikiri.
Akakiri. Um, a Jedi returns to his forbidden love to help defend her kingdom from a Sith-like shogun.
This was also done by Science Saru, who did Toby 1. Loved like I thought the art style was very unique. It was really
Mm.
really very nice because it was so different.
Yeah.
I also like that this was the only one of the stories that actually showed a Jedi falling to the dark side.
Mm. Yeah. Very interesting.
And I also love the lightsaber. I love that they had chosen to, instead of giving like a crisp, clean, the lightsaber is just there. It's like they've got like this kind of like color wave every time the lightsaber is
Mm.
swung, like an after image of it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's uh, I, for me, it reminds me a lot of the animated band Gorillas, like the way they're animated and such, and their
I
movements and style.
absolutely see that. I didn't make the connection myself, but I absolutely see the connection that you're making
Yeah.
here. Yeah,
And to an extent as well, I kind of like how it's almost like a Western in some ways because they have, he's kind of like this out of, he's fallen from grace in terms of a Jedi. He's not like your stereotypical highbrow Jedi. He's kind of like, he doesn't talk posh. He has a hat and a bit of a scruffy beard and such, but he still has his techniques and he kind of
yeah.
uses it. So yeah, that was really cool. But he's also plagued by this vision, this nightmare, which, as we all know
Many
from Star
Jedi have
Wars,
fallen, yeah, as a result
yeah,
of their visions.
um, yeah,
And it was a
plays into fruition.
self-fulfilling, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Um,
Um,
like
fight
with
sequence at the
many
end,
Sith.
just like many Sith, yeah. Fight sequence at the end was really cool. I thought I really enjoyed it, and um, yeah, I couldn't say much about it because, like you said, it was a real cool little journey. I
Yeah,
don't think it was layered, but different to the Ninth Jedi and such. Because again, it's this one character's journey to oppose to.
a couple that you focus on, yeah.
Mm,
I of them, this is one of the ones where I had a hard time predicting what would happen.
Yes.
Because throughout, right up until nearly the end, I was like, either they're going to defeat the Sith, or they're going to have to like flee.
Yeah.
It didn't occur to me for even a moment that the battle he was going into would be his vision
Yeah.
of him killing the person who he loves. And
Yes.
like with many Sith, the Sith uses that as the way to turn the Jedi to the dark side in order to save that person.
Mm.
But imagine that if Anakin saw how easily that was done, he probably would not have turned against the entire universe.
Yeah. And one thing I found really interesting is how the Sith brought back his love interest.
Yeah,
Actually brought her back to life.
I think at that point they understood that they had won so
Mm.
absolutely. They had obviously broken this Jedi's like spirit, because
Yeah.
even if she was now alive, he was always going to live with the guilt that he cut her down, and he
Yeah.
could have avoided it by not returning,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
though he was warned that if he were to go, it could happen.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
it was really really unique. It was not my favorite, but I would love. I mean, it's not at the front of my list of ones that I'd love to see more of, but I
Mhm.
really did enjoy it.
Yeah,
Really,
yeah, definitely. Same. It's again definitely watchable. I'd probably go back and watch this again,
yeah,
without a doubt. So yeah, I would say it's definitely undisputed.
absolutely.
Um, so yeah, it's definitely worth watch. Oh, George Takei was in this.
Oh, very
It's like you
nice.
said, that Disney money speaks volumes.
It really is. He's Papa Mickey just rolls up at your door. But I think that the most
uh,
important question, my friend, is Star
hmm,
Wars Visions worth a watch? Is Star Wars Visions disputed or undisputed?
I think Star Wars Vision as a whole is undisputed, without a shadow of a doubt.
Absolutely. It was a it was Disney like dipping their foot in the biggest way
Hmm.
into a genre that they've not had a lot of interaction with.
Yeah,
I think the most interaction, at least I've seen in recent years, that Disney has had with anime or manga is probably via Kingdom Hearts and the manga.
absolutely, 100%. But this makes me wonder as well, will this open the door for other big studios? So, for example, will this mean like Warner Brothers might open the door for Japanese studios to do like a Harry Potter anime? Because again, it's got some rich lore there that could be broken into tiny anthologies like this, or other IPs that we don't get to explore enough of. Again, I know we've had some tidbits, shall we say, a bit like Riddick had an anime, like in between movies, and I think
Supernatural had
Blade,
an anime.
Supernatural had an anime, Blade Runner had an anime. Um, so yeah, I do wonder if this will make other big productions and think, oh well, actually, we could probably use this to make some more money on, again, like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones. Again, it's got a rich
Yeah,
lore that could be explored.
I 100% agree with you. And what I would love to see is for some Western studios
Hmm.
to take some great Japanese titles and adapt them as an animation as opposed to a live action. Please, could they just understand that that's what they need to do as opposed to trying to make it a live action?
I was wondering where you're going with that because I was like, this is sounding dangerous.
You know what? Do you know who are really the only people who are actually very good at making live action adaptations?
Who's that?
Japan and Korea.
Yeah, yeah.
They they just roll with it. And it might not be end up being the best thing in the world, but it is nowhere near some of the monstrosities that the West has churned out.
That's very true. That is very true.
But yeah, that's my rant, which I will probably go on every single episode. Whoops.
Wow. I guess. What did you think of Star Wars Visions? Do you agree with us? Do you think it was completely undisputed? We would love to hear what your thoughts are. So make sure you drop a comment in the section down below. If you're listening to this on one of the podcast platforms, if there's a comment section, make sure to mention it there. If not, we've got an email address which will be located in the description down below. So drop us an email. And we'll read it out on here on the show. Mr. Susude, do you have anything more to add?
I mean, part of me thinks that what I just said should have been reserved for this moment, but I've already said my piece.
Yeah.
Stay hydrated. If you're thirsty, it's already too late.
Okay.
I did not mean that as aggressively. Yes.
As always, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Again, make sure you like, share, subscribe. If you want to check out our other podcast, Undisputed Nerds, where we talk more about comic books, this week we'll be talking about the final episode of What If? Wowzers. So make sure to check that out as well. I don't know how to follow that up about staying hydrated. Be kind, be nice, and I guess I'll catch you on the next episode.
Go and watch Visions.
100%. Just go watch it, enjoy it, fall in love with it. Tell us why you fall in love with it.
And if you don't like it, tell us why you didn't like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us why you didn't like it. Okay, cool. We're out. We're going now.
Peace.